Hello, welcome back to Common Farm. I'm still sowing seeds, but this time it's tomatoes, chilies and aubergines, and I'm going to have these in my sitting room, which is warmer than my greenhouse, in an attempt to get them to germinate nice and quickly. I'm going to have to look after them, keep them really out of the frost. Why am I sowing so many of them? Look, piles of empty packets. When, as you all know, a family of 6, which is what we are who live here, need a maximum of maybe 4 tomato plants in a year, maybe 2 cucumbers would be plenty, a couple of aubergine plants, masses. And I'm sowing all of these seeds, which have come from Simpson Seeds, which is a lovely, really a lovely place in the old walled gardens at Longleat. So Simpson's Seeds at Horningsham, I recommend you have a look. So of course I'm sowing some of these for me, but why am I sowing so many? Well, we're going to have a village plant sale on the 11th of May, and we need to have lots of plants for this plant sale. And I'm hoping that some of you might visit us and buy some plants, great. But I'm really hoping that for those of you who live further away from me, and over half of my interlocuteurs on YouTube particularly are in America or Canada, and then another great chunk in the Antipodes. We've got people from South Africa, we've got people all over Europe, as well as the UK. So my idea is that while the world seems to get crosser and crosser and people are more and more horrible to each other and more pugilistic, and the governments seem less and less able to control people, and the whole, anyway, I'm not going to get into politics or war, but if, like me, you feel almost disenfranchised by what's going on in the world, this might be a way to take back a feeling that you can do some good. So maybe wherever you are, you might hold a little plant sale. And it seems to me that if 1% of the 100,000 or so people that we can connect with here at Common Farm Flowers, we connect with about 100, we have a reach of about 100,000. So what with newsletters and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all of that, we have a way of contacting a lot of people. And that number is 100,000. If 1% of those 100,000 joined us and held a small plant sale, this is not a competition, it's not about making more money or telling everybody how brilliantly you've done, it's about community and making little ripples of good. So if 1% of that 100,000 held a small plant sale, and that 1% raised the equivalent of £500 each, and they put that £500 into a small horticultural charity which they find near them, imagine the change that we could make, the difference that we could make. And so my idea is, yes, we're going to have our plant sale and we're raising money, village church, village hall, and my neighbour, Mamie, has a charity called the Treatment Bag, which supports people who are going through chemotherapy, so we're raising money for them. But our local horticultural charity, for which we're also raising money, is the Growing Space in Wincanton. And if you have a look around you for small horticultural charities, you might find a place where they welcome people with mental health difficulties who just need to spend some time outside. People potentially with learning difficulties who find sowing seeds and pricking out, they find gardening, like I do, enormously calming. That you might find a place where everybody is welcome to come and spend some time in a place that which they might not otherwise be able to find. Not everybody has a garden, not everybody has a balcony or even a window box, but small horticultural charities provide places where people can go and get their hands dirty. And it is a proven fact that putting your hands in the soil releases bacteria from the soil, which when you sniff them through your nose, release serotonin in the brain, make you happy. So if we, you and me, and all my other people who I'm in contact with, my social media would call it my community, all the people I engage with, if we all hold small plant sales, then we can give a little bit of money to our local horticultural charity, and somebody near us who really needs to be able to spend time outside in the fresh air growing something will have an opportunity to do so because of you. And then the rest of the world, as governments fight with each other and leaders get increasingly pugilistic and, whatever, all that stuff goes on, we will be doing quietly in our local small way a good thing. And we don't just, when we have a plant sale, we don't just raise money for our local horticultural charity. It's not like you just write a check and hand it over. It's really good for communities. It means that you have to find the charity. You might not know one. You have to get in contact with them. You have to talk to them. You have to find out what they'd like. They might be very pleased to hear from you. They might have been sitting there without a budget for PR or marketing, feeling slightly ignored and slightly desperate for £500 or the equivalent with which they could mend their greenhouse or buy some more tools or invest in something new that will make a difference to the people who go there. Anyway, that's it. That's my thinking. So, plant sale, 11th of May. We're going to do ours between 10 and 1 at Charlton Musgrove Village Hall. And I'm going to be giving you tips of the way that we've always held our plant sale. Of course, you do not have to copy us, for goodness sake, no. But for those of you who haven't done something like this before, we've been holding we started holding a plant sale in Charlton Musgrove because we needed a new village hall. So we helped raise money for the village hall. And then we had a very old church that needed a new roof. So we helped raise money for the roof. And then it was COVID. So we stopped for a little bit. Anyway, we're back with a vengeance. And it's a really fun community event. We do it as a bring and buy, which is a really old fashioned, back in the day, people would have bring and buy cake sales and bring and buy all kinds of sales. So ours is a bring and buy sale where we encourage people to bring their spare seedlings to the sale and donate them, but then also to spend some money buying. So that means that we don't have to grow too much. I'm not a plant nursery. I'm a flower farmer, so I need to grow an enormous amount for my own business out there. So I expect I will have 200 or 300 plants that I've grown, and I know that there are other people from the village who will bring, and there are other people nearby who are bringing plants in. So maybe we'll have 1,000 plants at the sale the day before, all laid out. But I'm kind of anticipating the same again will be brought on the day. So what we'll have is we'll have people who are in charge of taking the plants off people when they arrive and putting them in the right place. And our village hall is quite big. Well, it's not that big actually, it's a village hall. But it's big enough that we'll have the tables in a big U shape, and we'll have signs saying tomatoes, veg, herbs, perennials, annuals, houseplants, fruit, so that people can aim themselves, wildflowers, people can then aim themselves at wherever their area of interest lies. The other thing that we do is all the plants are the same price. And I know some people who run plant sales say that that's very ridiculous. you have this beautiful something or other and it's worth a fortune. For us, what we want to do is sell everything. If we have different prices on everything, it takes a lot of time from the volunteer's point of view. Pricing. You risk offending the person who donated something because you didn't charge enough compared to something else. So ours will, Fabrizio says I'm wrong to do this, they used to be £1, everything used to be £1. But this year we're going to double our money. It's been a while since we've done this, but I think £2 is still very good value, and we'll raise a good amount of money with £2. So all of our plants will be £2 each. Makes it really, really easy. If somebody's walking around, they've got a box and they've got 10 plants in it, that's 20 quid. Easy, hand it over. We will be keeping an eye out, and I'll be asking around the village for anybody who's got spare plant trays like, whoops. I'll be asking around the village for anyone who's got spare plant trays like this, because we can then have these under the tables, and if people are buying a few, they can have one of these to put their plants in to take them home. People always have masses and masses of pots, which they don't really know what to do with because they're difficult to recycle because they're black. So if you can get yourself a good number of something like things like these, you can have them piled under your tables, and then when people buy a lot, they've got something to take home. I would recommend that all of your helpers wear aprons, because then they've got, well, with pockets, because then they can take the money and put the money in the pockets easily and get change easily. We have a U-shaped design layout of the tables, and in the middle of the layout, we'll have about 10 helpers selling. You may not need as many as that. You might, 2 or 3 people behind a table works really nicely. But on that table, we'll have somewhere where all the information, we'll have plant identification books. The 2 really, really helpful RHS plant ID books, because we don't know what everybody's going to bring. And the labelling can be at a plant sale a little bit, exciting. You never know what you're going to find. And we generally, it happens very quickly. There's a queue at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock rather. We're going to let them in at 10. There'll be a queue, they'll barge in. Plants people are keen, they know what they're after. They get in, get round and go what they like. But what you need to do, if you want to really encourage people to spend a bit more money, is have tea and cake. And if you can have tea and cake, we've got a nice kitchen at our village hall, so we'll have lots of tea and cake. So ideally what happens is everybody goes round once and spends their first 20 quid, and then they stop and have tea and cake and catch up with a friend. And then with a mad sugar rush, they go around and buy more. Because the idea is to get rid of it all. And at the end of the day, we count up, we get very excited, and we then split the money between the 4 charities that we're raising the money for. And then we spend a little while clearing up. So it's a sort of intensely exciting 24 hours, but in order to do it, I'm sowing all of my tomato seeds, all of the chili seeds, and all of the aubergine seeds that I've had from Simpson's Seeds, so that I'll keep 1 or 2 of each variety, but there'll be plenty more for the plant sale. Exciting. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. If you're going to hold a plant sale and you would like us to share the fact on our Instagram, please do email club@commonfarmflowers.com with where you're going to hold your plant sale. I'm going to assume it's on the 11th of May, unless you say otherwise. So it's of another day, then do say. If you know which charity you're going to raise money for, do say. And if you have an Instagram handle where you'll be sharing about your plant sale as well, please say in the email to club@commonfarmflowers.com. And nearer the time, we will begin sharing I'm hoping will be a worldwide collection of people raising small amounts of money for their small local horticultural charity. This is not a competition. You can't win. But I hope that on the 11th of May, there will be a lot of people around the world who feel as though they've done something useful. They've got in contact with people they didn't know before. They've had great fun. There's going to be a real buzz about this, I hope. And whatever's going on in the world, we can all say, well, we did a good thing. My real dream, do you know what my real dream is? So my real dream is that there's someone in Israel who holds a plant sale and raises a little bit of money, and the money goes to rebuilding a garden in Gaza. That's what I hope. Anyway, thanks very much for following along. And I'm not going to put the ads on this, and it's not club only, it's for everybody. I think anything to do with the plant sale, I'm not going to make money for myself. So it's an ad-free clip. I hope you've enjoyed it. But do please, if you have enjoyed it, do please subscribe to the channel, and you'll get lots more about the plant sale. But lots of other things too, like gardening, small businesses, and so on. If any of the tips and tricks we give you along the way are useful, you can always join my club or buy me a coffee. And the links to club membership and coffee buying are in the blurb or my clips. Thanks very much for coming along, and let's all make a little difference with what we're calling, thank you club members for coming up with this, the Common Good Plant Sale on the 11th of May, 2024. If it goes well, we might do it again next year. Anyway, on we go. I better get finished, otherwise there will be no tomato plants. Bye.